Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and let's bring on board the management of Kalyan Jewellers. We have Mr. Ramesh Kalyanaraman joining us on the show. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the show to talk about your earnings. So let me first begin by asking you about the demand that you've seen in the quarter gone by. How was the demand? Also, has that demand trend continued post the festive and the wedding season for your company?
Yeah, so Q3, of course, has been good. We grew revenue by 17%. PAT growth was 16%. Very exciting quarter. And if you see at the current scenario, in Q4, we have seen some showroom closures. During weekends, 20% of our showrooms are closed. On weekdays, 90% of our showrooms are open. Rather, 10% of the showrooms are only closed. Okay, but the momentum is very high. The momentum for revenue is high when the stores are open, and we have seen slowly start seeing recovery because certain states are lifting the lockdowns which was announced in Jan. So we are positive for the current quarter, but one thing which we should always remember is that Q4 we are starting with a huge revenue base. We grew by 60% plus in Q4 last year. So on a higher base with some store closures in the beginning of the quarter, but momentum very high. So that is what I want to tell about Q4.
I take that point. There is going to be a high base to talk about. But you say that momentum is there, that when stores are open, you're seeing traction. But could you give us some more details as to what footfalls you're seeing? How are things on the ground?
Store operations during weekends, 82% of the showrooms are open. And if you look at an average for Jan, 94% of the showrooms were open. So that is the store opening data. But on footfall data, the thing which I can say is that when the stores are open, the footfalls are normal. And it is like the momentum which we have seen before, we are still seeing. So that is what I want to tell about footfall.
Talk about the recovery that you've seen in tier 2 and 3 cities. How has the recovery been in these cities as well as in rural and small towns? The spending, how has actually the spending in rural and small towns been when you compare it to metro cities?
Q3 there was growth everywhere. Okay, so Q4 when we start, I told you about showroom closures. That is predominantly in metros, not in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. But on a broader term, the marriages, festivals, celebrations, etc. are getting pushed to the next quarter, which will surely have a short-term impact on revenue. That is there everywhere, not only in tier 2, tier 3 cities, but also on the metros.
Ramesh, Ebitda margin at 8.7% for the quarter gone by, improvement on a sequential basis, but still about a percentage point lower on a year-on-year basis. Will you continue to see pressure on the margin front, or is there going to be some improvement in the last quarter?
Gross margins have been steady. It has been increasing quarter to quarter. If you look at Q3 versus last Q3, the margins have been almost steady. I am talking about the gross margins level. But on an EBITDA level, there has been some reduction. That is predominantly because there were some one-timers this year, which is relating to certain showrooms which were relocated, etc. Otherwise, it has been, and some store expansion expenses which has been there. But otherwise, the margins are also on similar levels.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalyanaraman, for joining us on the show and giving us a take about your earnings for Kalyan Jewellers and the way forward for your company.